and welcome to another episode of Pixel Narratives with Anutosh. Today I have in my studios a person who has traveled into the interior of Assam and parts of Northeast, documenting the tribal life and culture for over 50 years. In our studios of AAFTAA, we have with us today Mr. Samir Choudhury, a very renowned and one of the most senior photographers whom I have been meeting on and off in the last 30-40 years since I became a photographer and moved around with my camera. Samita has been documenting the tribal life. None other has ever ventured so deep into the interiors of Assam and parts of Northeast. Welcome to our studios, Samita. It is a pleasure having you in our studios. And when you have taken out this wonderful camera, the Rolleiflex,
Rolleiflex, made in German.
the the name itself has been always so inspiring, and people used to think, oh, you're using a Rolleiflex, and here it is in front of us. Okay, Samirda, how did you start your journey as a photographer?
I started from Dibrugarh, my birth area, birth place.
Your birthplace, yeah.
Birthplace. Schedule, some practical only, not taking photography. Darkroom mainly, darkroom activity.
That means you were assisting somebody in the photography lab or something?
My uncle was also
Was a
renowned photographer, late Noni Choudhury.
Okay, in Dibrugarh.
In Dibrugarh.
And you were assisting him in the darkroom.
Darkroom.
So you
sometime.
were, what was your age at that time?
Teenager, last part of teenage.
Okay.
18, 19.
And
17.
then when did you first take the camera that I also want to take some photographs?
Sometime uncle told me, hey, learn it.
Okay. Okay. So that was the time when you have, and that this is the camera that you have used. You started using a Rolleiflex, and this is a 120 format. 120, and it's one of the unique cameras that were ever made.
আচ্ছা মাঝখানে একটা বলে দিই আমার কাকা বলতো আর কি বলতে কি জানিস এই ক্যামেরাটা কি মানে ফটোগ্রাফার সোসাইটিতে বলে আর কি যার হাতে যে প্রফেশনাল ফটোগ্রাফারের হাতে Rolleiflex আছে তার মানে সে রাজকুমারীকে বিয়ে করেছে।
That means what I just translate this in English for you, for the viewers, that his uncle used to tell him that, remember, the person, the photographer who has a Rolleiflex in his hand, he has the opportunity to even marry the queen. This was such a grand camera. The people who really had a Rolleiflex in their hand, I mean, you would always imagine that he's going to get the best photographs. It was the German cameras, Hasselblad and Rolleiflex, and then the Japanese. Yes, those cameras actually started from Germany, and those were very, very sturdy cameras. Very sturdy cameras. So that is how you started your journey in Dibrugarh as assisting your uncle, and then you came to Guwahati. In which year you came to Guwahati?
71.
So 71 you have come to Guwahati. What did you do at that time?
From Dibrugarh to
You have come to from Dibrugarh, but
Dibrugarh.
for what purpose you came to Guwahati?
My elder brother, late Kamal Kanti Choudhury,
Okay.
he was also a photographer
Okay.
In DIPR office.
Okay. Okay.
At that time, Assam is
All kind of publicity
Rajdhani
work. Okay. Was about to be. It was just
Meghalaya.
shifted. Just
At that time, separate.
from Meghalaya, and it has come to Assam. And
Then I come here.
okay. Did you join the DIPR?
No, no.
You did not join as a
No.
DIPR. And you worked for any press?
1986, Assam Institute of Research for Tribals and Scheduled Castes. They
Engaged you as a photographer.
As photographer.
And that has, given you an opportunity to access into the interior areas, which I think at those time was not too far from the city.
No.
Because when we talk about tribal areas where we have to get the authentic tribal culture and the way they live thing, it is those places where electricity has not gone, where electricity, television has not reached, and those areas still remain the same old way it is.
Lantern and Saki.
Okay.
Lantern
and candle. And that is where you get the essence of real tribal life. Even now when if we think that we would like to go to a tribal area and take some authentic tribal, their customs, their way, the culture, we have to travel a lot inside interior. Then only we may get that old traditional way of working, isn't it?
When I start, at that time, I cannot imagine that I am doing this research photography.
Yeah.
Gradually,
you started. Okay. Did you come across certain handicap? Were you handicapped when taking photograph of the tribal? They are very shy people. So how did you create a bonding with them that they were not even worried about you moving around with the camera? Because these photographs, I'm sure you won't be able to get just like that. We can go there and take a photograph. So
I am.
You have to mingle with them, be friendly with them.
Yeah.
You have become friendly with them. And how much?
আমাকে তার মানে করতে হয় তো মিলামেশা করতে
Yeah, you had to mingle with them. That's what. And and how many days you spent on an average per assignment in those days?
Sometimes 1 week, sometimes
so
three, four,
you
3 days.
stayed with them. You stayed with those people, and then they started accepting you. They started accepting you that this man is not a threat, and that is how you have got the best images.
When my photography published in newspaper or news magazine,
so you used to show them. Okay.
And then একদম
what was their reaction?
আরে বাপরে একদম বিরাট প্লেজার বিরাট জয়ফুল
what used to what would they tell you?
আমি বাংলাতে বলবো একবার আমি যে চাকরিটা পেলাম ওটা ওই পেপার থেকে ফটোগুলো যে বের হচ্ছে না ইয়েতে অসম্বাণী বা অন্যান্য পেপারে প্রান্তিকে বা অন্য ম্যাগাজিনে এই অফিসের দুজন তখন ডেপুটি ডাইরেক্টর অফিস ছিল ডেপুটি ডাইরেক্টর যখন ছিলেন বলছে বরদুল বিএন বরদুল বুধীন্দ্রনাথ বরদুলয় আমাকে খোঁজাখুঁজি করছে কে এইজন ফটোগুলো দেখে দেখে তার মানে ওনাদের অফিসে একজন এথনো রিসার্চ ফটোগ্রাফার লাগে তখন প্রপোজাল যায়নি তো দেখে দেখে পেয়ে গেল একদিন।
হুম,
আমি একটা স্টুডিও খুলেছিলাম
হুম,
86-এর,
হুম,
সরি 76,
হুম,
75-এ।
হুম।
তারপরে ওইটা আন্দোলনের সময় লাহে লাহে বন্ধ।
Yeah, that is what I was coming to because I think the wonderful documentation of the Assam agitation.
হুম,
I think you were the only one who had been thoroughly
হুম,
moving from
হুম,
one place
হুম,
to
হুম,
another,
হুম, হুম,
documenting the Assam
হুম,
agitation,
হুম।
and you have
Only
one of the
still
best,
photography, not
yeah, all
motion,
the stills. All
not
those times we didn't have more motion, so
black
it
and
was
white, color,
color
both.
had just come,
Just come, just
and
come.
we had one studio.
80,
Only
after
one
80,
studio in Guwahati at that time who used to develop
85, 85.
85, 86. You started with the color photography, but that was the beginning. And we had to send it to Mumbai for
Kodak
Kodak had to
company.
develop it, and we had a one center here in Khubchand,
Khubchand.
and
Yeah,
Khubchand used to get it done for us.
many, many film I process there.
Yes, and then we got also our transparencies, because those days we used to shoot in
Transparency,
transparencies, and
বহুত
transparencies were developed by Boone and Shepherd in Kolkata. That was one of the
মানে ব্রিটিশ যুগ,
yes, yes. And
ব্রিটিশ টাইম।
that time, those images, they are not just images, but they tell you about a time. They talk about things that happened in those times. So your images, they speak a lot of things happening. It's not just an image that we see. So you started with a Rolleiflex, and then you switched over to a SLR 35 format. Well, I still remember
Nikon FM2,
you started with the new Nikon
85,
FM2.
in 85,
Nikon FM2.
2,
FM2 was that camera.
single lens reflex camera.
Right. And that was one of the costliest Nikon at that time. Nikon FM2.
14,000-15,000 at
In
that
those
time.
days,
Those days.
it is a huge amount, because I started with the Olympus OM1, and that was in 85 was 3,500. And Nikon at that time was very expensive, very expensive. And
Very sophisticated,
very sophisticated, very hard, very solid build,
professional.
very solid built. And no, Olympus also was a professional, but then it is not like the Nikon. Nikon at that time were the leaders in the so. FM2 was one of that camera. Nikon FM
FM
was also a wonderful
first
camera.
time FM,
FM.
FM2.
Yeah. Then FM10, so many other cameras started coming. Okay. And how many photographs have you taken till today? Can you give a brief idea? You must have exposed so
If
many
I
films.
if I feel
Roughly.
in the year, 1 year, per month, if I took 100 photographs,
Okay. That 100 photographs means three rolls of photo. Yeah.
3 roll, no?
Yeah. 36.
3, 4 roll.
4 rolls.
3,
Okay.
4 roll.
Hmm.
12 into 4.
You're talking
40.
about 120.
It is 120.
So you're talking about the 120 format.
120.
But when you started with the FM10, FM2, at that time it was 36.
4.
4. So around 100 camera. So now you'd have. And I have seen your publications. I've seen your images, and
আরো বেশি হবে।
you have taken a lot of things. But why didn't you ever think of participating in the competitions, the photography competitions?
I don't know.
What was the reason? Because your photographs are out of the world. I mean these photographs. I'm sure and even in today's time, if we can see these photographs in some competitions, they have lot of aesthetic values, and they also have that documentation kind of a thing. But why didn't you submit for any competition? Well, I think you are the only one who have, we have also thought we should participate, but it was only you who never thought, no, I will do my work. My work will speak of what I have done, and that is what we have done, and that is the reason why a very recent documentary by Samiran Deka, the artist, it showcases the 50 years of Samir Choudhury's life of photography. And it is a inspirational film, though it's a documentary, and it showcases the 50 years span of work that you have done. And this documentary, The Artist, has now been accepted in different festivals, and it is one of the outstanding documentaries as per the reviews that we have come across. So, how did it really, how did you feel when Samiran Deka approached you that they are going to make a documentary on your journey, on your photographic journey of 50 years?
My journey always I back inside camera.
Yes. Yeah.
I always
You are always behind the camera,
behind
and this
the
is the
camera.
time wherein you are in front of the camera.
When somebody or anybody focus on me, at that time I sometimes
No, and it is not like that. This is, I think, the most tragic part of all the photographers, that they take photographs of people and they want to portray them in the beautiful way, but when their photographs are very hardly taken. Now that you have this selfie kind of a thing, and people take a lot of selfie, but it is still
till date I never
the photographer who is never in front of the camera. Nobody knows whether it were or it was. We talk about Henry Carter Bessel, we talk about Raghu Rai, or we talk about Nimai Ghosh. All were behind the camera, and I know we their images are more famous than the actual person. But the person who has created that image, he is the artist behind it. And this documentary, I'd love to see it one day. And the title that has been given for the documentary is very, very apt, The Artist. And okay, so you have been traveling to all the interior areas of Assam and even in Meghalaya, because that time it was Assam.
sometimes
It was
some
in
area,
Assam.
some area,
And yes, and
some area also Arunachal.
which part of the tribal area actually has given you the best images?
Mainly hills area is ekdam totally till date not so modern
Okay.
to
Okay. Till like the city,
plains
like the
area.
plains. So
Not
which part of the
Karbi Anglong and
okay,
NC Hills area.
and
And
NC Hills area
NC
is a mixture of Nagas and
no,
Karbis.
no, Karbi
Karbi very
some
little
portion,
in some areas.
mainly Dimasa,
Dimasa.
Kuki,
Hmm.
Mar. Kuki also, anthropologist says subtype of
Jemi is also
Jemi
Jemi
also,
is there.
Jemi.
Yeah.
Dimasa first position,
Okay.
next Jemi.
Yeah. So
Next,
you have a very diverse kind of a culture.
mm,
It is not just one particular tribal community that you are focusing
when
when
I
you go to the NC Hills, and you have been interacting, you have been mingling with almost all the tribal people, and you have been doing this for the last 50 years. Now, when you look back, these are the publications you have, the wonderful photographs that we are seeing. One thing that even it looks, you are often you think, oh, I could have done this also. Is there anything?
last interest mine, I যিমানকে পাৰোঁ আৰু মানে অল ট্রাইবেল যত আমি ফটো তুললাম গুয়াহাটিতে অন্তত একবার বড় বড় এক্সিবিশন করা
Wonderful, wonderful.
যত
We will
ট্রাইবেল
be all waiting for that. I am sure Guwahati The people of Guwahati, photographers of Guwahati will be waiting eagerly for an exhibition of all these wonderful images.
various ethnic group of Assam,
Yes, yes,
some part of Northeast.
yes, and I'm sure that is going to be a feast for everybody. Coming to the modern photography and the 50 years of photography
Analog,
work that you had done,
analog
the
photography.
one we had done, the analog and the digital. What one thing differs from the analog kind of photography and that we do in the digital?
In my
Opinion.
opinion, my feelings,
Yeah.
I am very pleased উইথ দ্যাট মানে
with the
no
analog
analog photography মানে
uh,
I mean film
film
photography,
photography.
not digital photography, no doubt it is
But
also
we have all switched over to digital out of compassion because
completely.
now that we don't have film,
Okay.
we do not get the processing of film
No
is
processing
vanished.
মানে
And you know one thing, we have switched over to digital faster than the Americans.
oh emergency maybe.
In USA, they are still using film.
Like
They are still using film
oh,
photography. They are still,
yeah.
printing photographies. They still have Ilford papers. They still have Kodak. They still have Kodak films. Yes, the percentage has gone down. The quantity has reduced. But then they did not disintegrate. They did not throw away their old thing.
না
But in India, we have switched over to digital very fast. It has become a marketplace where people have switched over to
market
digital and not the switching over to DSLR. Now the latest craze is the mirrorless,
oh
and people not even knowing the head and tail of mirrorless, they are jumping into it, spending thousands and lakhs of rupees for upgrading. How you think that really photography matters when you have a good camera?
photography involve photography
তুই বাংলাতে বল।
ফটোগ্রাফি বলতে গেলে তো ইয়ে হবে, মাথার কাজের কথা আসবে।
হ্যাঁ।
হ্যাঁ, তো এই ডিজিটালে আমার মাথার কাজেই বন্ধ করে দিল মনে হয় আমার।
So you think that
আমাকে কত সাবধানে তুলতে হয়। আমি রিমোটে আছি, আমার হাতে মাত্র ২ টো রিল। হ্যাঁ, সাবজেক্ট অনেক, গিয়ে দেখলাম। তখন আমি কি করব? তথাপি তো আমার এখানে যে আমার যে তাগিদা যে ভালো করে ফটো তুলতে হবে, আমি তো বারে আসতে পারবো না এত রিমোটে। আমি খুব সাবধানে তুললে ওই জন্য সবগুলো ফটো ভালো হয় অনেক সময়।
So you were more dependent on the film at that time, and till date. But then unfortunately we don't have any more film photography now. So that is a big
যদি আজকের এই কন্ডিশন এই ওয়েস্টার্ন কান্ট্রির মতো যদি আসতো, আমি আবার ডিজিটালটা দেখে অ্যানালগ ক্যামেরা
my Olympus is still working. I see that the Olympus OM 2000 is still working. I often click the shutter. I see that it is working. And yes, it is such a strange changeover because the most ordinary, the extraordinary images have been taken with the most ordinary cameras.
আমার ফিল্মের তোলা ফটো আমার অফিসে বানালো, মানে অফিসের ডিউটির ফটো এই সাইজের, মানে 20x30 সাইজ। হ্যাঁ, তো কোনো আর্টিস্ট মোস্ট প্রবাবলি বীরেন সিনহা ও সমীরে ডিজিটাল লোলে
ওকে
হ্যাঁ সব কণিকা ফিল্ম, এই কণিকা ফিল্ম আর পেপার তো কণিকা পেপার বা যেই পেপার না হোক, এই জুমেন করালাম নাকি ওইগুলো ফটো ডিসপ্লে করে। তারপরে এটা একটা কমেন্ট। আবার প্রতিদিনের সাপ্লিমেন্ট বেরোতো এনাজুরিতে, এনাজুরিতে অজস্র ফটো বেরিয়েছে আমার ট্রাভেল লাইফের উপরে। তখন ইয়ে করলো, কে জানি বললো আমাকে, ও সমিতা ডিজিটাল ললে ন ভালো হয়েছে না ফটো খান? আরে বঢ়িয়া, আমি ক্যামেরা এই আগর ক্যামেরা দিয়ে তোলা, ফিল্ম ক্যামেরা।
And one more thing, I am sure my viewers are very nostalgic hearing Samir Choudhury talking about the different types of cameras that he has handled, not just handle those cameras, and what difference it makes when he has switched over from the analog Nikon FM10, FM2 to the Nikon DSLR model. We'll be talking with Mr. Samir Choudhury. Our next episode will be again continuing our conversation with Samir Choudhury. Till then, goodbye. We'll continue this in our next episode. And we will be talking to Samirda again in Pixel Narratives with Anutosh and in a